Jacob Tutu is an underappreciated Canadian animated series that captured the hearts of children everywhere who didn't have cable. Today I'm going to look back at the quirky, imaginative world of Jacob Tutu. Based on the books by Mordecai Richler, the series first premiered in 2003 and ran for 5 seasons on the now-defunct network Qubo. Jacob Tutu follows the adventures of Jacob, the youngest member of his rather large family. Having just moved to Montreal at the beginning of the series, Jacob's world is a blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary. Jacob, due to being the quote-unquote littlest in his family, feels overlooked. Because he feels overlooked by his older siblings, Jacob repeats everything twice to make sure he's heard, a unique trait that defines his character and gives the show its name. Growing up watching this show on Qubo, I thought his quirk of saying things twice was really endearing and unique, until I grew up and saw some mafia films.
And Jimmy Two Times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like,
I'm gonna go get the papers.
Family dynamics play a central role in the series. Jacob's siblings are Daniel, the oldest, who has blue hair because he's a cool guy. Marfa, the second oldest, who I just now learned her name is spelled with an F. I always thought Jacob had a lisp or something when he would call her Marfa. I thought her name was Martha with a TH, but no, it's Marfa. And Emma and Noah, who I believe are twins. The interactions Jacob had with his family resonated with me because my mom would tell me stories of her growing up as the youngest sibling in a big family, and it was very similar to what the show portrayed, in which the oldest sibling somewhat cares about you, the middle siblings are indifferent towards you, and the ones immediately above you despise you. However, the show does a good job of highlighting that despite the teasing and sibling rivalry, there's an underlying tone of love and support that reinforces the importance of family bonds. Jacob's siblings are not that notable in the show. His older brother Daniel gives him advice on occasion. His sister Marfa is basically non-existent and is disgusted by his existence for some reason. And the twins have the most prevalent role out of all of his siblings, mainly bullying him, pranking him, and on special occasions actually helping him defeat whatever problem he's facing at the moment, while cosplaying as superheroes for some reason. Don't ask me why. They bully him for being a loser, but they have alter egos and fight imaginary bad guys in their front yard, so who's really the loser? Jacob's mom is pretty caring and has an extremely cinched waist for some reason. Talking about unrealistic body standards. And Jacob's dad is pretty laid-back author of a comic book series called The Amazing Ronald. The animation of Jacob Tutu is both vibrant and whimsical, capturing the imaginative essence of Richler's books. The show's art style, with its bold colors and distinctive character designs, enhances the storytelling, bringing Jacob's adventures to life in a way that is visually engaging for young viewers. It's unlike any other show I've seen in terms of art style, and I remember really liking it when I was younger. In the premiere episode Jacob Tutu vs. the Hooded Fang, Jacob wants a new room away from Noah, who keeps messing with him. He unfortunately can't get a room to himself because there isn't enough rooms, so he thinks of other people in his house who he could share a room with. However, his oldest brother doesn't want to share because he is the oldest and has felt like he has dealt with everyone else for the longest, and Jacob doesn't want to share with any of the girls. His dad eventually suggests moving into the attic, which he says he will turn into a room for Jacob if he really wants to get away from Noah. Jacob agrees, however, once Noah finds out, he starts telling Jacob scary stories about the Hooded Fang, who is a wrestler on the TV. He tells him that the Hooded Fang snatches boys from their beds and breaks them in half because that's what wrestlers are known for, obviously. And this scares Jacob pretty bad. However, he is determined to not give up on attaining his own room. A day or so later, Jacob's dad surprises his kids and takes Jacob, Emma, and Noah to one of the Hooded Fang's wrestling matches, which makes Jacob a little nervous. Once they get to the arena, Jacob runs into a guy named Gary while on his way to get some popcorn. Spoiler alert, Gary is actually the Hooded Fang. I know, shocking. And he is hiding from his opponent because he is scared to fight him. However, instead of telling Jacob that he's the Hooded Fang, he says that he knows him and explains that the Hooded Fang told him he was nervous for the fight. Jacob tells Gary to tell the Hooded Fang not to be scared because he himself recently learned to conquer his fear after his brothers had been harassing him. Jacob and Gary bond over being teased by older siblings. Jacob kind of also just tells him straight up that people bought tickets so not fighting would be messed up, which I thought was kind of funny. Gary eventually decides to fight his opponent and gives Jacob a shout out for helping him conquer his fear after absolutely decimating the guy he was fighting, which leads to his siblings being shocked that the Hooded Fang knows their little brother. Once Jacob gets home, he settles into his new room in the attic, no longer being scared, knowing that even someone like the hooded Fang can get scared. He learns it's normal, but in reality, there's nothing to fear. I think the premiere did a good job establishing the main character and his family dynamics, while giving the audience a decent story with a lesson. I think it didn't try to do too much, which I think is a good thing. In the second episode of the show, Jacob Tutu in the staff room of Doom, it's Jacob's first day at his new school and he needs to find something to wear. However, he doesn't have anything cool, so he decides to ask his older brother, who he views as the definition of cool. I mean, obviously, guys, look at him. He's so cool. Jacob sees his brother has a shirt with a skull on it, which he asks to borrow, and his brother reluctantly agrees on the condition that nothing happens to it because it's his favorite shirt. On the way to school, Jacob's two older siblings, Noah and Emma, bully him, saying his brother's shirt looks like a dress on him and he looks like a pirate, while his mom does nothing to defend him, per usual. Once he gets dropped off, we are introduced to his principal named Greedy Guts, who almost runs him over in his Jeep, letting us know instantly that this man has no regard for human life or the safety of his students whatsoever. Jacob then stops in front of the school to do a cool pose that he learned from his brother, but ends up getting hit by a girl skateboarding named Renee, who will become a significant character later on. And after getting up, he meets Buford, a very weird kid who is hanging upside down from a tree for some reason. Once inside, the students have to go to a first day of school assembly where the principal just lists out everything that is not allowed, ranging from laughing to sneezing to running in the halls. There's no frisbees, rollerblades, or skateboards. And lastly, no shirts with skulls on them, which is bad news for our man Jacob. Jacob does try to call his mom to get him a new shirt, but there's no luck there as she doesn't answer, so he ends up leaving a message. Once Jacob gets to class, he makes a bad impression on his teacher, Miss Sourpickle, because when she asked him his name, he said it twice, and the class laughed, making her think he was trying to be funny. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Her name is Miss Sourpickle? Yes, it is. Trust me, I can't make this stuff up if I tried. Plus, her skin is purple for some reason, which made me super confused as a kid, but then I just learned not to question it as the series went on. Most of the faculty in the school are scary looking anyways. In class, Jacob has only one thing on his mind, which is trying to hide the skull on his shirt so it doesn't get taken away. Principal Greedy Guts visits the classroom and Miss Sourpickle tells him the class is about to watch a movie. She tells Jacob to get up and turn the lights off, even though he's on the complete opposite side of the room. And side note, I think these two might be a couple, which makes me kind of nauseous to think about. To be fair, they portray him as not that interested in her, mainly because he only loves food. I mean, the amount of fat jokes toward him in this show is actually hilarious.
Why, Principal Greedy Guts! What a surprise!
The principal's SUV. I heard him say the school lunches aren't big enough, so he's going out for cheeseburgers.
Food! I need sustenance! Whoa!
Oh, I just thought, well, if you see someone sneaking around with a big bucket of fried chicken...
Fried chicken, you say? I'll find out who's got it if I have to lick every finger in this school myself. Gangway, the beast is stirring! Get me to a drive-thru, fast!
Anyways, Jacob shimmies his way to the lights and turns them off, thinking he is safe because the dark room would hide the fact he has a skull on his shirt. But unfortunately for him, his shirt was glow in the dark and everyone saw it, leading to him getting his shirt taken and ending up in detention. Eventually, his new friend Buford comes in through a vent to save Jacob from detention and brings a pile of shit for some reason. I'm just kidding, it's pudding. Still weird though. Once Buford tells him that Greedy Guts left, him and Buford devise a plan to sneak into the secret vault hidden in the staff room to get his shirt back. Once they break into the staff room, they run into Renee, who is also on a mission to try and get her skateboard back, which was confiscated by Greedy Guts. Jacob eventually finds the door and has to enter a code, which he guesses is Greedy Guts due to the principal's self-obsessive nature, and also the fact he was literally singing this song earlier in the episode.
Greedy guts, oh greedy guts, the sweetest word in the English language.
To Renee's shock, the code works and the gang make it into the secret room where everything that has ever been confiscated is held. Renee gets her skateboard and Jacob finds his shirt, but he notices that it looks suspiciously placed. Renee ignores his concern and grabs it for him, but Jacob was right, and somehow Greedy Guts big brained them and booby trapped the shirt, leading to gates coming down to trap them inside. Fortunately, Renee thinks fast and gets her and Jacob out of the room before the gates completely close by using her skateboard. They're making a clear escape, and at this point you think they're in the clear, when all of a sudden a giant rubber band ball starts chasing them. They end up in China, and then Buford ends up on top of the ball somehow? I don't know, man. I can't be bothered to try to explain why any of this is happening.
This school is weird.
The ball ends up running over Jacob and Renee, causing them to end up on top of it with Buford. However, once the ball leaves the tunnel, it lands on Greedy Guts' car, crushing it, while the kids escape using the shirt as a parachute. Miss Sourpickle suspects Jacob might have something to do with it, considering all the other kids were outside and she left him alone in the school for detention. So she goes inside, but Jacob rushes into the classroom through the vents, beating her there, making it look like nothing out of the usual. Once the school day ends, Jacob and Buford tell the other students about what they did, and some bully kids think what he did was cool, which makes Jacob happy considering that's all he really wanted. But then his mom comes walking up out of nowhere with a new shirt for him, leading to the bullies thinking he's lame again and leaving. I like this episode even more than the last, as it highlighted some of the more prevalent aspects of the show, like the teachers who make his life hell, and his two friends who are with him for the remainder of the series. Buford is genuinely just odd, but I like how much of a friend he is to Jacob, and I like how Renee went from thinking Jacob is just like any other pipsqueak to actually respecting him as a friend. Her character was cool to me growing up because she spoke French, which helped me learn that there are actually people in Canada, particularly from Quebec, who speak French, which was kind of cool. I would cover more episodes, but I think Jacob Tutu is a good show that you should watch for yourself if you have the time. Beyond its entertaining adventures, Jacob Tutu imparts some nice lessons. Each episode weaves in themes such as honesty, perseverance, and the importance of standing up for what is right. The show's ability to present these lessons through fun and engaging stories made it not only entertaining, but also fairly educational. So whether you're revisiting the series or discovering it for the first time, Jacob Tutu remains a delightful journey through the imaginative mind of a young boy who taught us to always make our voice heard, even if we have to say it twice.
4 large popcorns and 4 sodas, please. 4 large popcorns and 4 sodas, please.
I heard you the first time.
Thank you for joining me on this nostalgic trip through the world of Jacob Tutu. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Like the video!